Hello everyone. So today we are going to talk about all the security headers that we have and what's the best practices, security best practices for these headers. So let's get started with the headers that we are going to talk about. So there are multiple headers. XXS protection, X-frame options, X content type, CSP header, cache control, pragma, HSTS, ACAO, then HTTP method allowed, HTTP only flag, same site flag, secure flag, rate limiting, server information disclosure, refer policy, permission policy, X download options, and access control allow credentials set to true. So we are talking about multiple headers, flags, and their security best practices. So first one is the XSS protection header. So basically this header is used to enable the XSS protection in our modern browsers, and you can enable this so that no XSS payload or any payload gets executed or rendered on the web browser screen. So the best practice for using this header is XSS protection is set to 1 and the mode is set to block. Next one is X-frame options header. So basically this header is used to block the rendering of iframes into a web browser. And when I say that, so let's say if you define a origin from where you want the frames to be rendered in a web application, so for that purpose you can use this, and this particular header is used for preventing the clickjacking attacks, and the best value is same origin, or if you have some other origin you can define that origin here as well. Next one is going to be X content type options header. So this header provide protection against sniffing of MIME type. If someone gets the MIME type, then this could potentially leads to the MIME confusion attack. So for that, we set the X content type options value as no sniff. And if you want to know about the MIME type, so it's the file type, like it's a text file or a video file or image file, and then they have the type as well, the MP4, JPEG, GIF, so things like that. Next one is going to be the CSP header. So this header is this allows the content from defined source in a web page, and the format is the CSP header, then comes the directive, and then the value of that directive. Let's say you want some you have some images from some source, you can define that source as well. Let's say you are allowing the some images from the example.com, you can just say write it as image source and then example.com, or you can define add this as self. So this CSP header replaced X-frame options header. So we are not the X-frame options header is deprecated in some browsers, so we are using CSP header for that. So for that we are using frame and sister, and we are defining the frames where the origin of the frames where we are, where we are allowing it. Next comes the cache control header. So this header basically is used to define the directives of caching about how to store the response for a particular resource. And you can see there are multiple directives. So when we talk about the security best practice, so mostly we use no store, no cache, but it totally depends on your use case, what directive and the value you want to set for the cache control. So these are the eight values: public, private, no cache, no store, maxage, S maxage, must revalidate, and immutable. So you can read these and you can get to know more about these by just going through the details. So next, the pragma. This header just makes sure that no response is cached, and this is like this comes with the cache control header. So this is the only work that is that what pragma header do. And yes, we used to use this pragma header when we were on HTTP 1.0, but after 1.0, like we stopped using pragma and it got deprecated, so it's no longer getting used in any of the websites, web browsers. Next one is the HSTS. So HSTS tells the browsers to strictly communicate over the HTTPS connections only. And there are three directives of this particular header. So first one is maxage, then the second one is include subdomains, and third one is preload. So maxage is it defines the duration in seconds that the browser should remain and enforce the HSTS policy. Remember. And the next one is the include subdomains. So it makes sure that the subdomains are also added in the HSTS policy. And the preload one is an optional one. So this allows the website to include in the HSTS preload list maintained by the web browsers. So coming to the eighth header, it's the access control allow region. It defines which resource are allowed to be accessed. Let's say we can define the domain here. So in the request part, you can see a header origin. We can define the origin for the resource here, and the worst practice, if you set its value to star, that will mean that what that mean here is it will allow content from any origin. So we have to make sure that we define the origin in request and response as well, and make sure that it is not set to star or wildcard. HTTP methods allowed. So we have multiple methods here. So these methods are designed to aid developers in developing and testing HTTP applications. We have multiple methods here in the request. So put, patch, trace, delete, options, get, and many other methods. But we only use get, post, and options because let's say if we allow delete method access to, then any malicious or unauthorized user can delete the request. So we should only allow the those HTTP methods that are required. So the next one is the HTTP only flag. So what happened here is this it instructs the browser that the cookie should not be accessible through client-side scripting languages such as JavaScript. And HTTP only flag is used to mitigate the risk of cross-site scripting attack. Basically, we use it with the set cookie header, and we set the value as HTTP only, as you can see in the screenshot. Next one is the same site flag. So this is used to control how the browser includes the cookie in cross-site request, and it's used to used in mitigation of certain level of or types of cross-site request forgery attacks. So you can just add a flag, same site flag, as shown in the screenshot here, and it's the best security best practice. Next comes the secure flag. So secure flags make sure that the cookies are transmitted over a secure HTTPS connection, and it helps protect the confidentiality and integrity of the cookie by preventing it from being sent over unencrypted HTTPS connections. So you can just add a flag secure here, and it will make sure that the cookies are sent over a secure HTTPS connection. The 13th is the rate limiting. So it this header allows only a specific amount of requests in a specific amount of time. Rate limiting can be set according to the IP or user or according to time frame. So it totally depends on the use case, as I can say, as we say again. So rate limiting is nothing. It just controls the number of requests coming to a web application. So this header is usually used to protect some. I cannot say that most of the DOS or DDoS attacks, but up to some level of DOS or DDoS attacks, this particular header can save you from. Then the next one is the server information disclosure header. We have to make sure that this particular header is not disclosing any sort of server versions and the numbers. Like in this case you can see that Microsoft IIS 7.5. So let's say if this particular thing is visible in the response, so this is not a good security practice. We have to make sure that the server version is not disclosed. The reason behind this is, let's say if someone in future looks at the server version, and that particular server version, let's say 7.5 here in this case, is vulnerable to some sort of um, payload or some sort of script. So what will happen? The attacker will come, he will use that script and exploit the web application. So we have to make sure that we do not give any sort of sensitive information in the response. So this header should not be present in the response. It should be hidden, or it should not give any sort of versions. The next one is the referral policy. So the referral policy header is an HTTP response header that allows web admins to control how much information is included in the referral header. It is when a user navigates from one website to another website via a hyperlink. So this is also the like best security values are strict origin when cross origin, and these are some of the values that you can look for referral policy. Again, the next one is the permission policy header. So talking about the permission policy header, it's a HTTP header used to control which browser feature and APIs a web page can access. And it provides a way for website owners to specify a policy that governs the behavior of certain browser features, such as geolocation, camera access, microphone access, and full screen mode, and many more. So these are the directives: geolocation, camera, microphone, full screen, payment, autoplay, encrypted media, and accelerometer. And the values for these directives can be set to only three, like self, none, and source. Source is going to be the source from where you are like granting the access. Next one is the X download option. So basically this header is was used when we were using the Internet Explorer. Earlier, what used to happen here is when we used to download a file, it gets down like executed once we click on download. So just to save from that thing, this header was established so that the Internet Explorer browser gets a save option, so that the file gets saved to the system first, and then it's on the user choice that he wants to execute that file or not. The last one is access control allow credential uh, set to true. So this header was comes with the access control allow region header. So let's say if we set the origin to the origin which we are using, which we have, then in that case we can set the value as true. But we have to make sure that if that particular access control allow region method value is set to star, then and the access control allow credential is set to true, then this is the worst security practice. So this header is set to true in an HTTP response. It indicates that the server allows the use of credentials such as cookies, HTTP authentication, or client-side SSL certificates in cross-origin requests. So you have to make sure that if you are setting the value of this header as true, make sure that the access control allow origin is set according to the security best practices, and no star is used in that. So these are all the security headers that we have in security. And thank you for watching. And if you have any doubts, you can just reach out to me. Thank you.